Hi, this is Zach Beach with SmartRealEstateCoach.com, bringing you another Deal Structure Sunday. This deal actually had a couple of nuances in here, and we actually had some hiccups kind of go along through this process. But because we purchased it the right way, we're able to actually benefit from it. So let me walk you through this deal. So source was an expired. Actually, it is the type of deal is a sandwich lease, and what we ended up purchasing it for was $263. Now that's almost exactly what the seller owes on this property. It was $263. Now the reason why we didn't do it as a subject to deal, which is really what we would like to do if we're buying it for what they owe on the property, is because the seller didn't want to give up title at this point. Still wanted the benefit, tax benefits, or maybe it was just her comfort level. But we were able to buy it for what she owes, and we bought it actually back in 2015. Back in 2015, so we purchased it roughly $263 and change, but just to make it easy, $263, and this was actually back in 2015. Now, the term that we got on this property was 9 years. This was very important because this is what saved us there and how we actually were able to turn this into a very profitable deal. Now, we actually we sold this property twice to two different tenant buyers over the last 3 years. So I'm going to go over those paydays with you, and then we're going to jump into our most recent buyer that we placed in the property as well. So we sold it to two different tenant buyers, and I'm just going to combine these paydays number 1, 2, and 3 between those two buyers. So we're actually able to sell it twice for $329. So we actually sold it for $329 twice. And then, so our payday number 1 was $12,000 combined, non-refundable deposit. Payday number 2 was about $10,800, so $10,800 in spreads total. And how I received that is we're getting roughly a $300 spread each month. So you got 300, and then you're going to times 36 is going to bring you that 10,800. But I like to say that as far as a net on this, we probably got about 4,800 as a net. And why I say that is because the property was vacant for a couple months, so we had to make those payments. And in order to continue to take care of this property, we actually made those payments. Now, this brings up a great point here: is as you accumulate properties and as you work this business, you're going to create enough spreads with your other deals to cover properties that end up sitting vacant if a buyer defaults. Now, we've set up each and every one of our buyers like we do on all of our other properties to succeed, but sometimes you're dealing with some defaults. Now, as you create those spreads, which is the difference between what you have to pay the seller and what you're collecting from your buyer, you will eventually be able to accumulate enough spread between all your deals to cover any hiccups that come here. So it's not like we were coming out of pocket all these months. We were just pulling the spreads from the other deals. Okay, so I would say we netted about $4,800 on that because a couple months were vacant, and a total out of pocket each month for a payment. Total out of pocket each month is about $2,200. That's principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. Okay, and then payday number 3. We're getting roughly $450 of principal pay down every month. So 450 times that 36 months is going to give you 16,200, so 16,200. So even though we were making these payments while the property was vacant, we're still accumulating that principal pay down. So $16,200 has come off the purchase price. Okay, so the total 3 paydays from these first 2 tenant buyers is going to be your $12,000 non-refundable deposit. You got about $4,800 in spread, and you got $16,200. So the total is $33,000 in profit from the first 2 tenant buyers. So even though we took a bad situation where 2 tenant buyers defaulted, we still benefited here about $33,000. So even when you're dealing with hiccups here, things still work out. Now, because we were able to get a 9-year term on this agreement with the seller, we have 6 years left. So still plenty of time here. And we're gonna, as we walk through this, I'm gonna show you some cool things here. So when we buy a property subject to, we want 2 things to happen, right? We want the principal to go down on the property, which it did, and we want the market to trend up, which it did. So we were actually able to sell it to our 3rd tenant buyer for $359,000. So the market has gone up roughly $30,000 since we originally bought it. Now, our principal paydown also starts at a different price now here. So we actually, at this point in time, the principal paydown is at roughly $246,800. So the principal paydown's gone down and the market has trended up, which is absolutely fantastic. So what we did with the most recent tenant buyer is we sold it for $359,900. We're getting the same amount of spread as we did last time. We rented it, or we got a lease payment for about $2,500 coming in. We're coming out of pocket about $22,000, so a $300 spread. Principal paydown obviously has gone up now, but we're just going to keep it at $450 to keep this consistent. So now we're starting at our principal at $246,800. We sold it for $359,000. Okay, so payday number 1. They came in with $6,000 today, and then we scheduled $14,000 extra throughout their lease term, which is another 36 months. So total $20,000 non-refundable deposit. We then got a spread still of $300 a month times your 36 again. So you get another $10,800 coming in, $10,800. And then payday number 3, we're getting the $450 again times the 36 months. It's going to get you another $16,200. We also sold it, so that's your principal paydown. We also sold it for $359,000. We're going to subtract the $246,800, and we're also going to subtract the $20,000, which is the non-refundable deposit, and that is going to bring us to $92,200. Okay, so this number's here. This is the additional premium between what we bought it for and what we're selling it for. So we have $92,200 in additional premium when the property sells. That's our cash flow there. So let's look at the total paydays here. So you get a total payday of $92,200, which is the premium. Then you're going to add the principal paydown here of $16,200. And then you're going to add the spread of $10,800, which is the spread between what we're collecting and what we're paying out to the seller. So a total of $119,200. Again, let's just walk through this one more time. So I'm getting this because we get the $92,200, which is the premium, which is between what we bought it for and then what we're collecting. We then were able to receive a $16,200 in principal paydown over the 36 months. So we add that. And then we got a spread here of $300 a month times that 36 months. So that brings us $10,800. So the 3 paydays total brings us to $119,200 on a property that we bought subject to, or I'm sorry, we bought on a lease purchase, but we bought it for what the seller owed. Now, let's just add up. So that was the 3 paydays for that tenant buyer. Let's add up what we have received and what we will get when this tenant buyer cashes out. So we've already received $33,000. This $33,000 came from tenant buyer number 1 and number 2. And then now when this property cashes out at the end of this 36-month term, we have an additional $119,200 coming to us, $119,200. And so that brings us to $100,052, $200. $152,200 is your total payday when this property cashes out. Now, what happens if this tenant buyer defaults? We still have an additional 3 years left. So if the market continues to trend up, this tenant buyer defaults. At the end of that time frame, we can so decide whether we want to sell it traditionally or we could place another tenant buyer on this property. Now, I'm hoping that these tenant buyers are able to cash us out because, again, that is how our program works. That's what we want to do. We want to create buyers. So, again, we dealt with some defaults here. Actually, multiple defaults, but the way we purchased the property, we were able to craft up a deal so that way we were still able to benefit even though we had to deal with some hiccups here. So again, if you're enjoying these videos, go ahead and subscribe. If you're on YouTube, like, comment if you have any questions. Also, if you're on Facebook, go ahead and like and share. And we certainly look forward to bringing you some more deal structures. Have a great day.